Hello, we're back working on an FJ. This is an older Eagle Eye projector headlight assembly, and there's a fault somewhere in the assembly. The headlights, the high beams are shorting out instead of the shutters actually kicking. And yeah, so there's nothing wrong with the circuit on the truck, so it's got to be the coils or something, or one of the ballasts inside of this has gone bad and it's just causing an issue. So we're going to convert them to the sealed beam headlights with the glass bulbs from the old ones from the 60s. So hang in there and I'll show you how I do that. This is the sealed beam headlight that we're going to be using. I got this one at O'Reilly Auto Parts for like 15 bucks, something like that. You won't need a harness because you'll come to find that the original Toyota FJ headlight plug-in exactly fits this old dinosaur, plugs right into it, and the wiring is correct. So more on that in a bit. But I'm going to get the breaking this down. My next step is going to be to remove this light, which is to get these three nuts off of those three posts there. And they're a little corroded on mine, so I have to clean that up and get to work. And then I'm going to strip the rest of the stuff off of the headlights, and I'll see you back in a bit. All right, I'm back. I got the turn signal removed. As you can see, it's just a separate assembly. You can just take it off and set it aside. Next, I'm going to work on taking off the projector assembly, or take the bulb out and unscrew everything I can here, take some of the screws off around the outer assembly, and pretty much strip this thing down to its housing. And then on the last time I did this, I took the time to pry this out of the housing and heat it and remove it all the way around. I think this time I'm just going to attempt to do it by just cutting around here with a Dremel, just cutting the lens off. So I'm going to work on that and then I'll see you back. All right, this is the setup I'm going to use to cut the lens here. This is my old Dremel with a cutoff wheel. I'm going to go around the outer edge of it like so. Just take my time, cut it all the way off. I'll see you back when I'm done with that. All right, we're back. You see I've cut the lens off the outside of the headlight assembly. Here we got the reflector, the little CFL ring, and the reflector and the projector assembly inside. Now I'm going to flip it over and remove all the screws around the perimeter. I'll count them as I go and give you that count number when we return. All right, I found a total of 5 screws around the perimeter. There was one here. I think that probably was just into the outer lens assembly, but these 3 look like they were into the reflector, so those definitely had to come out. But I took all 5 out just to get them out the way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So next I'll flip it, try to pull the inner ring, this whole inner assembly here out with a screwdriver. This whole inner ring here out. I'll be right back. Okay, that assembly, I just put the screwdriver under it and it popped up out of there. And inside of here, we're going to try to save this base plate right here. The projector module will be removed, but we're going to try to save this plate. So I'm going to go through, remove the screws from the back side here, and remove the assembly. You'll have to push these little clips in here and here to remove this, and then this entire module will come out. I'll unplug all the wiring, cut the wires. I don't care about any of the wiring. It can all be gutted. These little vents and all the little holes and stuff in it don't matter. Just pop all the retainers out and get the wiring out. So see you back. Okay, we're back. You'll see I've removed all the wiring, the inner projector ring. This thing's just gutted. It's just an empty shell now. We'll put this back in when we're done. But go ahead if you want to and clean up around here just to smooth this edge up so it ain't so sharp. I'll just put a sanding drum in the Dremel and smooth that all out. Yeah, and these adjustment screws, this screw and that screw, are how the whole inner assembly attach. So, and this is the inner projector assembly. So I am going to pretty much gut this now, take everything off of it, and all I care about is just this plastic housing right here. I'm back. We've got the inner housing of the projector assembly just gutted. I've set my caliper here to 1.5 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, not let it move off the 1.5. I'll pinch it here, you can tighten the lock. And then I'll use this to basically scribe a line the whole way around. Just scratch it. Scratch me a line so I have a visible line all the way around the part. And then I'll take my Dremel tool with my cutoff wheel once again, and I'll cut it all the way around, being careful. If you wear heavy gloves, wear safety glasses, be careful with it. Just cut slowly, take your time. We're going to cut overall 1.5 inches off of this whole thing. So we're only going to have like a 1/2 inch to 3/8 to 1/4 inch lip left down here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll return and show you what that looks like. I'm hoping you can see what I've done here with my tool. I've scribed a line 1.5 inches down from the top of the part to cut off, to be cut on. I'll stay on the upper side of that line when I cut it all the way around. Why 1.5 inches? That's what I determined where I wanted my headlights to sit, so they didn't contact the little the center grill piece, you know, little headlight plastics around. So, but that's what we're gonna do. Thanks. I've returned. I've cleaned all this up with my sanding drum on my Dremel. Got the nice into the headlights where I like it now, the inside of that. I've cut the back piece like we showed in the earlier video. I've now sanded it down, and if you look on the inside there, you can see I've kind of sanded that at a bit of an angle down inward, and the reason I did that is because that will sit on the bulb, which I'll get out now and show you. Okay, so here's the bulb out of the box, just a sealed beam, and then there's our back plate. So basically, whenever this is like this, you're looking at the back of the light. Let me zoom out a little here. This is the plate that we've removed right here. This is going to mount away from the bulb. So basically what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to orient this plate right here on top of this light. If you look between this hole and you make a straight line, and between this hole and this hole make a straight line, what you'll see is a little dot in the back of the bulb. We want that to be right in the center. That'll center it in the whole assembly, keep everything nice and straight. And what I'll do is I'll take a straight edge and get that lined up where I want it, and then I'll draw around the inside with a Sharpie so I know where it's at. And then I will work on making a ring for this outer bezel. If you're in a place where you have access to one, they sell the rings for these headlights already. 60s, 70s Chevys, some older Dodges, some older Fords, they all had like a metal ring, a retaining ring. I looked for them here where I'm at now. I'm actually out camping doing this while I'm here because I got bored, but I couldn't find them locally, so I'm actually going to make one. But what I did is I'll make a 3/4 inch strip of aluminum. This is like 20 gauge, maybe a little thicker. I got it at the hardware store. I'll make a mark here, and I'll cut a 3/4 inch wide strip of this, and then I'll bend 1/8 of an inch over and make a big straight piece of angle out of it, basically. So if you can find a piece of aluminum angle that you can cut easily with snippers, that would work too. So I'm going to go ahead and make my ring assembly, or get this made, form my piece that I'm going to use for my ring assembly, and then I'll get my light marked out, the bracket on it, and then I'll show you how that all looks when it's ready to go together. In case you couldn't find the rings yourself where you are located, I checked with O'Reilly's, and they told me that anything older than 25 years they're not going to carry parts for anymore. But you can find them at a junkyard or specialty store or LMC truck online. Harley Davidson shop, they're a 7-inch headlight, so any headlight ring would work. Instead of running all over and spending a whole bunch of time looking for them, I figured I'd just make them for now, and later on if I get another pair, I'll upgrade them. Or if I find a set, I'll upgrade them. Otherwise, I'm kind of happy with how mine turned out anyway. So I'm just basically going to bend this now with a pair of pliers at an 1/8 inch in and make it a piece of angle. I'll bend this at an L. I'll be back to show you what that looks like. Okay, I'm back. I was telling you I was going to make a piece of aluminum angle, and that's what we've achieved. An 1/8 inch bend, and I'll go through and refine it more and bend it over. But the next step is to go through and about between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch, about every 11/16, I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut this lip, this 1/8 inch lip, the whole length of it. That'll allow me to curve it around the light. I'm going to make a ring for around the light, and then when I get to the end, I'm going to bend a tab up, and I'll put a screw through it. And I'll show you how I did that after I've got it all made. I'll see you back. Alright, I've returned. As you can tell, I've got my rudimentary light ring built here. You can see it's got the retaining ring on the inside. There's many options you could use to make one of these other than what I decided to do, but buying them would be the best way. But now I'm going to go and I'm going to drill a 7/64 hole right between the head of the tip there, and I'm going to use that sheet metal screw and that bit. I'm going to drill right through above the tip of my pliers, and I'm going to put that screw in so it retains the ring into a circle. Okay, now I've got the screw through it now. I'll trim off the excess of this right above that right there. But you'll see when I put you on pause and install it on the light, you'll see how well it fits, and I'll explain the next step. Okay, got the ring installed on the light. And as you can see, it's not perfect yet, but it's coming along. And you'll have to press it down in so it's actually all the way on the outside ring. And now what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll pick 4 points that aren't going to interfere with these. And I always put that tab, I don't put it right on the center. I put it below the center line or above it. That way I can use a tab on the center line or whatever I want to do there. But basically what I'll do is, like right here, I'll cut a notch in, I'll cut a tab here, I'll cut a tab here, and a tab here, and I'll fold these down. I use my pliers to gently crimp it, so that the only way to get the ring back off is to remove that screw. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Here's the light ring assembly. I have it made, installed on the light. As you can see here on the back of it, I've made 4 tabs that I bent down with pliers to kind of grip the light. Now it won't fall out. The screw at the top holds it tight. If you want to replace the bulb, you take the screw at the top out, it removes it. This is that inner assembly ring. It's setting right inside the light. So this is the way the light goes in the truck. The bulb was in it. The writing is up on the bulb. You're going to take this inner piece and flip it straight over and put it right on top like that. And like I said earlier, now you're going to want to make an X between there and there that goes right across the center of that dot. So if you need to use some tape or whatever to make that X line up between those holes be perfect, or any other form you got to go from to get you centered. You can measure around, but that would be pretty tough. But I used the center mark on the last one. It worked pretty well. So what I'll do now is I'll take my same drill bit I used for the screw hole, the 7/64. I'll drill a hole here, a hole here, a hole on this side, a hole here. I'll drill a hole here, and I'll drill a hole here. Pretty much in the middle of those 2 dots, if you can see them there. There'll be a hole there and a hole there, and then correspondingly I'll come down here and I'll drill a hole here, 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 and then probably here and here, and those will be for my springs. So I'll go and drill the holes, and I'll make my wire supports for it. I'll show you what I use to do that when I come back. Okay, I'm back again. I said I'd tell you what wire I was going to use to make my ties. It's 041 stainless lock wire from Harbor Freight. This is what I've ended up doing. The 2 holes I told you to drill on the sides here and there, I put a piece of wire between just to keep the spacing, basically to keep this upper piece here flat, because when I cut that apart it spread out a little. Let's put it back. And then when you flip it around, basically I've got it on a hinge assembly right now. See? So when you flip it around, I've drilled 2 holes, I bent the wire, made my little ties in there, made my little ties in there. They're a little crooked, but it's not actually that critical. But when I pull tension on these 2 points here, what I've done is I've lined this up so that when I straight edge between that hole and that hole, it goes directly over the center of the bulb, that little dot right there in the very center of the bulb. Same with that. So basically I've used the original holes just to line it up. So now I'm going to take springs and attach a spring from here to this hole I've drilled, and from here to this hole that I've drilled. And what I'll use is, they were just universal springs that I bought from the auto parts store. There was like a pack of 5 long springs, about 4 or 5 inches long. Anyway, I've cut them down. And somewhere in here, I've already got a couple that I worked with the other day. Get them out of the toolbox. But anyway, here's a couple of springs. So something like this. I may have to modify these, shorten them, lengthen them, rebend the hooks, but I'll get them in between there and there with enough tension so that if I grab this bracket, hold it by it, and shake it up and down, the light doesn't move. Once you've done that, you know you've got it. So then I'll come back and show you what the finished product looks like. All right, I'm back. I've got my assembly here all put back together. You'll see I've got 2 springs now attached to this side holding the bezel in. I've got 2 wires holding the top in, and you can just keep making adjustments. Basically you want that the writing to be parallel with the bracket. So if you loosen the side screw, you can turn the bulb and get it perfectly flat across the front of the vehicle. If you check these again, so I use my handy dandy caliper here. I'll go between the holes, see that it intersects right over the center of that bulb, right on the dot, and it is perfect on this one. So now we take the whole entire assembly, we turn it over, we place it back in on the little post down in there till it drops down. We start the screws on top of the adjuster there, and on top of the adjuster, you can see that one's not on it. Let's get it on top of the adjuster there. Then I'll flip it, take the cordless drill, run them in until about 1/4 inch of the screws sticking out on both, go install it in the vehicle, put it all back together, make my adjustments, plug the headlight in, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Here's my assembly now. I've popped that clip down in there all the way back on. I've run the adjustment screws in till there's about 1/4 inch sticking up on each side of the adjusters. It's hard to see that one, but I swear it's in there, sticking out 1/4 inch. But anyway, basically, if you look at the overall of the housing, you want your light to be centered, and you want your Sylvania or whatever brand you have, your logo to be, centered across the bulb. You want it to be horizontal with the plane of the bumper and the road. So, but if you flip it and you look in the back hole, if you notice that light plug, if you look centered at the hole, it's centered in the center of the hole. And that's what we're going for. So now I'll put the turn signal back onto here, bolt it back on, then I'll go over and put it back on the vehicle. All right, and here I am with the finished product. They installed just like they came out, so. But there's the factory or the Sylvania bulb there. And I'll get a video tonight to show you how much more light spectrum these actually spread than the original projector ones and the original flat-faced ones. And I'm hoping I quit getting high beamed from here on out. So, but yeah, that's what I was up to today. I'll see you later this evening in the dark.